Oh my God.
It's hard even to talk about this, man.
I'm speechless.
Yesterday, Ezra Klein, who has a brand new book out called Abundance with Derek Thompson of The Atlantic, he went on Jon Stewart's show. Here is Jon Stewart with Ezra Klein explaining all the steps that you need to go through in order to achieve a grant or a contract under Build Back Better. This clip is cut down because this isn't remotely the actual full process.
We have to issue the notice of funding opportunity within 180 days. That's step one. Step two is states who want to participate must submit a letter of intent. Step three, they can request up to $5 million in planning grants.
Just planning.
Step four, the requests are reviewed, approved, and awarded by the NTIA. 3 years later, all 56 applicants had passed through at least step five. States must submit a 5-year action plan. Then the FCC must publish the broadband data maps before NTIA allocates funds. So then the NTIA, step 7, has to use the FCC maps to make allocation decisions. It's hard even to talk about this, man. Step 8 is states must submit an initial proposal.
What the did they apply for?
Step 9, NTIA must review and approve each state's, again, initial proposal.
Oh my God.
Step 10, states must publish their own map and allow internal challenges to their own map. This is the Biden administration's process for its own bill. They wanted this to happen. This is how liberal government works now. This is a bill passed by Democrats with a regulatory structure written by Democratic administration. Okay.
Right.
Step 11. The NTIA must review and improve the challenge results and the final map. Step 12, states must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my God. At step 12, after all this has been done.
Step 13, states must submit a final proposal. All the proposals weren't enough to NTIA. So we've gone in the last couple of steps from 56 had gone to this point to 3 of 56. Step 14, the NTIA must review and approve the state's final proposal. And that is 3 of the 56 jurisdictions and states are there. In summary, states are nearly at the finish line. And it says to stop their progress now, or worse, to make them go backwards, would be a stick in the spokes of the most promising broadband deployment plans we have ever seen. End scene.
I'm speechless.
Why are you shocked? Why are you speechless? You built it. This is the thing you wanted. You wanted a government that was so large and intrusive and also ridden with bureaucratic corruption. This is what you wanted. Please name all of the steps you wish were removed from that process and who would be damaged from them. Please. Well, here's the thing. That's exactly what Elon's team is trying to do. They're trying to go through these regulatory structures, through these spending structures. You want to know why that's popular? The reason it's popular is because of all the things Ezra Klein just said. It's hilarious to watch some of these people discover conservatism in real time. Oh, you mean the giant bureaucratic snafu that you have created that spends $7 trillion a year is bad at things and takes too much money and time? That's unbelievable. By the way, this is the reason why Democrats are constantly attempting to declare wars on things, because once they've declared a war on poverty or a war on housing shortages, then they can cut out all of the steps and simply ram down what they want to do, which is the thing they really wish they could do. But it turns out that in a democratic polity, there are a lot of people who have their piece of the game and they want to know what's going on. So when we are talking here about the wild growth in government that apparently Jon Stewart and Ezra Klein are lamenting, let's be real about this. The left was responsible for this. I asked our friends at Perplexity, which of course is the sponsor of the show, how much of both the number and complexity of federal regulations increased from, say, 1950 to 2025. And here's Perplexity's answer. In 1950, the Code of Federal Regulations contained approximately 9,562 pages. By 2020, the Code of Federal Regulations had grown to 87,351 pages. That is almost a tenfold increase. The number of restrictive words, meaning words that restrict action, in the Code of Federal Regulations grew from about 400,000 in 1970 to over 1 million by the late 2010s. As far as complexity, in 1970, it would have taken just under a year for a person to read all the federal regulations, assuming that they read 250 words per minute, 40 hours per week, 50 weeks per year. By 2016, it would have required 3 years, 177 days, and 10 hours to read through all the federal regulations. The total word count of the Code of Federal Regulations increased from 35.4 million words in 1970 to 104.6 million words in 2016. This means complexity, regulatory incomprehensibility, and all the sort of stuff that you're seeing Jon Stewart lament. But who do you think did it, guys? We'll get to more on this in a moment. First, imagine a terrible scenario where you or your loved ones face a threat. Now, your first instinct might be to resort to lethal force, but it's crucial to consider a safer, less lethal alternative first to avoid legal complications associated with firearms in a lot of states these days. Introducing Burna. Burna's less lethal pistol launcher is equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammunition designed to incapacitate an attacker for up to 40 minutes, providing a critical window for you to escape or get help while minimizing the risk of permanent harm. Here's a real-life account from a Burna customer named Adam. He was heading to his night shift. He encountered a road-raging driver who swerved dangerously, stopped abruptly, and aggressively approached him. Remaining calm, Adam dialed 911 and armed himself with his Burna launcher. He aimed the laser at the aggressor's chest, which immediately de-escalated the situation. The driver returned to his vehicle and awaited the police. The officers confirmed that Adam's non-lethal response was perfectly judged. That night, Burna did not just prevent a potential tragedy, it saved 2 lives without causing any physical harm. Burna is legal in all 50 states, requires no background checks, and can be conveniently shipped directly to your door. Over 500,000 units have been sold already. Thanks to Burna for sponsoring this video. And if you haven't yet, go check out last week's episode of Ben After Dark on Daily Wire Plus, brought to you by Burna. In any case, this is why DOGE is inherently popular. And I wish that the DOGE team had done this interview with Bret Baier that they did last night a little bit earlier, but it was really good. So, last night, as I mentioned, DOGE team sat with Bret Baier. Tyler Hassan, who's a member of the DOGE team, he was talking about the Interior Department and the fact that there was basically zero oversight of spending initiatives at the Interior Department during Biden.
Well, Elon and Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but I actually found that customer service survey contract. I actually have an example of one right here. I could have done this in high school. And
Is that right?
I found it.
Is that bad?
I found it on the weekends because under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now reviewing every single contract, every single grant, and when things come to my attention that don't make sense, I'm bringing them to Secretary Burgum, and he has been fantastic. He's a businessman. He's very supportive of DOGE. It's been wonderful to work with him.
And here is Elon Musk explaining that the federal government has spent $1 billion on a survey that would have cost 10 grand on SurveyMonkey.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. Was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing.
Okay, again, all of this is stuff that when Americans see it, they resonate to it. Musk was joined by the Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebbia, who's working with DOGE to digitize the government's antiquated retirement process. So you remember that crazy story a few weeks ago where it turns out that the government retirement process is run from like a salt mine. It's run from a cave with like actual physical files that have to go up and down an elevator. Here was Joe Gebbia talking about modernizing that.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as he dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience. Beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Okay, now remember, these are the people you were told were going in with a chainsaw, and it was a bunch of 18-year-old kids named Big Balls who are actually just willy-nilly chopping people out of the government. Is that what it sounds like to you? Right there? This is the stuff I want the Trump administration focusing on, because when you see this interview, you think, this is great. This is fantastic. You know what I really don't want to be focused on? I really don't want to be focused on increases in car prices because we have to make a payoff to the UAW. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.